It's part of Computer Science Education Week, and we have Tanisha with us. Hi, Tanisha. How are you?
I am doing good.
Wonderful. All right. Well, I'm going to go ahead and turn my camera and mic off and let you get started. If you need me, I'll be right.
All right, awesome. Thank you so much, Chris. So we're going to go ahead and dive right into it so we can learn a little bit about animation. And Chris, go ahead and let me know if there are any questions at any point. We're going to do things a little bit differently here. Normally with our programs, we like to wait until the end to do the questions, but if anybody has any questions, they are more than welcome to jump in with them. So we are doing animation basics with Scratch. I'm going to go ahead and turn off my camera so we can dive right into it. So this program is part of Computer Science Education Week. It is a wonderful initiative that is all about teaching computer science to kids through K through 12. So it's about equity, contribution of students, teachers, partners. It's just a really, really cool initiative where education-based services like ours get to do really fun things surrounding computer science. It is also sponsored by Our Code, also known as code.org. Which is another wonderful website with a whole bunch of really, really awesome coding activities, computer science activities for you to do. Some of them are less than an hour, some of them are an hour, but it is code.org. It is very easy to access. I highly recommend you check that out. But as we always like to do with our programs, we do have a book shout out for you. This is available on our ebook platform, Hoopla. It is How Coding Works. It's also part of a whole coding series. So if you want to learn a little bit more about coding, Hoopla items are instantly available. So you can go to the website right now and go ahead and check that out. And it's another resource that we recommend. So I am going to go ahead and end the PowerPoint so that we can get started with some coding. So I am going to go straight to the website that we'll be using to learn how to code and do some animation basics with today. So this website is Scratch. So at the beginning here, I'm going to go ahead and just highlight it real quick. This main website is scratch.mit.edu. So Scratch is a wonderful web-based platform for you to learn coding. And some people may have used it before, but one of the really awesome things about Scratch is that it's not only about coding. You can use it to do a bunch of other fun projects. Like you can make your own video game, you can code your own story. There's so many things that you want to do. And one of the things that you can do with Scratch is animation basics. So we're going to use Scratch to learn some basics of animation today and Thursday. So I highly recommend that you join us on Thursday as well to go over some of the basics of how to animate things. So let's take a look at, you're probably looking at your screen like, what am I looking at right now? So let's take a look at some of the basics of Scratch. So of course you have to have your item to animate. You have to have something to code. You have to have something to move. So normally when you first open Scratch, you see you have our little cat friend here. And as much as I love our little cat friend, we're going to work with a different friend today. So I'm going to go to choose a sprite. So you might be wondering to yourself, what exactly is a sprite? What is she talking about? Well, a sprite is a 2D object that we are going to code or animate. So it's any object that you want to manipulate, any object that you want to code. So we are going to choose a sprite. And we are going to go to, I'm going to scroll down a little bit here, because I am going to pick the hen. So we got our hen here. I'm just going to go ahead and move her right there. And because we're going to be working with our hen today, I'm going to go ahead and say goodbye to our cat friend. So I'm just going to go ahead and get rid of him or her real quick. And so now we have our hen. So unfortunately, our hen is looking a little boring right there. Not much going on with our hen there. So let's go ahead and liven things up a little bit. So with Scratch, you have the option of picking a backdrop. So we got our hen there, which is kind of like barnyard-esque. So let's go ahead and choose a background for our hen. So I'm going to go to, like you did for sprites, I'm going to go to choose a backdrop. And I'm liking this blue sky right here. So let's go ahead and pick blue sky. So there we go. So now it looks a little bit more lively. It looks like we're actually going to be animating something, whether it be a game, whether it be a story. Actually looks like we're going to animate something. So now we know what our backdrops are. We know what our sprites are. So in your sprite, you have costumes. So up on the top here, I just clicked on our costume tab. So this is one of the things that you can use to animate your objects. So costumes are different looks for your sprite. So if I click on hen B, there's another look. Hen C, we can have our hen looking directly at us, and hen D, poking the ground. So I want you to keep those costumes to the side real quick. We're just gonna keep those over to the side real quick, and let's jump back to our code. So of course, what is coding? One of my favorite definitions of coding is telling a thing to do a thing. So again, what is coding? Telling a thing to do a thing. So our thing, the thing that we want to tell to do is the hen. So we are telling the hen, what are we going to tell the hen to do? To start off, because we're just starting off with animation basics, let's just have our hen walk across the backdrop here. So we're going to have our hen walk. So what are we coding? We're going to tell our hen to walk. So we're going to animate our hen so that it looks like it's walking. So let's jump into the blocks here. So the blocks are the different lines of code that Scratch uses. So we're going to start with our event blocks. So the event blocks is just a fancy way of saying to kick things off. So the event blocks kick off your lines of code. So one of the most used ones, we're going to go ahead, most commonly used one is the green flag. So you'll notice up here, there's a green flag. You can use that green flag to start running your code. So like we said, we want to get our hen to walk. So how are we going to do that? Let's go up to the motion blocks. So the motion blocks are just that. They are blocks that are made to make your object, your sprite, move. So let's test it out real quick. So the first block is move 10 steps. So first line of code, we just wrote our first line of code. What are we doing? When the green flag is clicked, the hen is going to move 10 steps. Let's go ahead and try it out. So you'll notice here, every time I click on the green flag, it moves a little bit, but it's kind of boring. I mean, it's walking sort of, but that's kind of boring. You're just clicking the green flag a bunch of times. So we want our hen to look like she's actually walking. So how do we do that? So I'm going to disconnect. You always want to make sure that your codes are connected. If they're not connecting, nothing happens. You see here, it's not connected. I click the green flag, nothing happens. So you just want to make sure that they're connected. But I told you about the costumes. Let's take a look at those costumes again. So those costumes are going to help your hen look like it's walking. So there's hen A, which is what it's on right now, hen B. So you notice if I click back and forth, it kind of looks like it's walking. So how are we going to translate that over to our code? Let me show you. So we want our hen to move 10 steps. Let's go to our looks blocks because we want to switch the way that our hen looks. So we're going to go to switch costume to hen B. So let's press the green flag, see what happens. All right, still not doing what we wanted to do. So let's move 10 steps again. And let's switch the costume to its original form, hen A. Still not doing what we wanted to do. So let's introduce a different type of block. So the control blocks are ways to manipulate your code. So you can get your code to wait, you can get it to repeat, you can get it to go on forever. You have all of these blocks here. So I'm going to insert a wait block to see what happens with that. So I'm going to put that wait block right after the costume switch. Let's press that green flag again and see what happens. Nothing still, right? It's still not doing what it's supposed to do. So why is it doing that? Because the way that the code is written here, that it's going to move 10 steps, switch costume to hen B, wait a second, move 10 steps, switch costume to hen A, and then wait a second. But it's only, as you see there, it's only going to do that once, but we want our hen to look like it's walking. So we are going to insert the forever block. So what does the forever block do? That makes sure that your code is running until you stop it, until you physically stop the code from running. So whenever that forever block is added into your code, that means that the hen will move 10 steps, switch costume, wait, move 10 steps, switch costume, wait, until you tell it to stop. So let's go ahead and run it and see what happens. All right, so now our hen is moving, but you may be saying to yourself, geez, that hen is moving really, really slow. How can I make our hen move a little bit faster? So I'm going to go ahead and stop the code. That's what the stop sign is for. I just stopped running the code. And so you see here, you have all of these variables, all these different things that you can change. So let's see what happens when we change how long it waits in between switching. So I'm going to switch it to 0.5 seconds. And let's see what happens. So now my hen is walking a little bit faster. And now it actually looks like it's walking. So quick recap while our hen is walking across the screen. We have the forever block here. So when the green flag is clicked, it's going to move 10 steps, switch costume, wait in between switching, move another 10 steps, switch costume, wait, and it's now going to keep walking across the screen until we stop it. So congrats, guys. You just did your first line of code, your first animation. So that's a very simple animation, but it is still animation. So you just animated something with code. But now I'm going to go ahead and stop it. You might also be noticing that every single time I want to rerun my code, I have to move the hen back to square one. So how can I make it so that I don't have to do that every single time? So let's go back to our event blocks. Like I said before, these blocks help kick things off. So we're going to drag out another when green flag clicked. And we're going to go back to our motion blocks. So I'm going to introduce a new block to you. There's a block that is go to X and Y. So I know this is fun and we're having a really good time, but we're going to put a little bit of school, a little bit of math into this. So some of you guys may be familiar, maybe learning already in school, the X and the Y axis. So the X axis, I'm going to put my mouse right over here, is horizontal. So this is here. This is the length that my hen is moving. The y-axis is up and down, so vertical. So the go to X and Y block is there so that my sprite, or my hen in this case, goes to a certain spot. So I'm going to move it to the spot where I'd like it to be. I'm actually going to delete this one, because before you put the block into your work field there, it'll change for you. So I want my hen to start here. And so now the X and Y block is the coordinates that I would like it to be. So we're going to start our block at -179 or 118, but you can change it to whatever you'd like. So, but I want mine to be walking on the ground, so we're going to put it there. So now what does this do? So let's start the code. My hen is walking, and walking, and walking. And let's say, okay, I want to stop it and I want to run it over again. I'm going to press the green flag again. Now my hen goes back to square one. It goes back to where it started. So that way, as I'm animating my hen, as I'm trying to figure out what I'd like my hen to do, I can do that. So one more thing what we can do with our hen, we had all of our different costumes. Let's say you want to make it a little bit more, let's, add some more fun to it. So we're going to add a few more blocks. Let's see, do I want our hen to look at us? Let's have our hen look at us. So I'm going to go back to looks, switch costume. Let's do C. And let's have it wait 1 second. Let's see what happens when I do that. So now our hen is walking across the screen and then looking at us suspiciously every, like for a second, like, why are you looking at me? Why are you making me walk like this? And again, to just mess around with those variables a little bit, let's make it 5 steps. And let's, oops, let me stop that. Let's do, I'm going to do 0.25 seconds. Actually, let's do 15 steps and see what happens. And 0.25 seconds, so a quarter of a second. And you'll notice here when you click on the code, it'll start over again. So we're going to do 0.25. And then I keep on moving my chicken, but my hen, but I remember I don't need to do that because I coded it so that it won it with the green flag light. So what does that do? So you can see there, another variable that you can add to your code to make your hen walk. So as you guys can see, there's so many different ways and so many different things you can do to make your hen walk. So now that we've learned the basics of that and running a code so your hen can walk, you might actually be wondering, like for instance, with a video game, we know that we're playing video games with characters. You move the character yourself with your game controller or with your finger. If you're on a tablet or something, you move the character yourself. So how can you do that in Scratch? How can I code something so that I move the character and not have to run it for, run the code forever and it just move across the screen? So we are going to bring out a different one. So what I'm going to do real quick, like I said before, if your code's not connected, it won't move. So I'm going to go ahead and disconnect this code for a minute just so we can keep it on ice here real quick, and I'm going to get another sprite. So we have our hen. Let's get our chick. Chick's kind of cute. So I'm going to put our chick here. Now you might be noticing the chick doesn't have a lot of space to move. Pointing in the opposite direction, I actually wanted to walk towards the hen. So how am I going to do that? How am I going to point the chick? How am I going to get it to point in the right direction? We're going to go back to our costumes and we're going to flip them. So under chick A, the first costume, I am going to flip horizontal. By flipping it horizontal, now you'll see my hen is facing the direction I would want it to walk. So I'm going to go ahead and do that with all 3 costumes. Now I don't know which costumes I'm going to use yet, if I'm going to use other ones, but I want to make sure that they're all flipped in the right direction. So now we've done our first thing. We flipped our chick to face the direction we want it to walk. And as I mentioned before, I want to code this hen. I want to animate this hen so that it doesn't start walking until I tell it to walk. So whether I press a button, whether I tap it or whatever, I want to wait until I tell it to walk. So let's go back to our event blocks. And we're going to work with the when space key pressed. So on the little drop down here, I got other options. I can press any key that I want, but for time's sake, we're going to keep it on the space key. So I'm working on a laptop today, so I'm going to say space key. So this means that this chick is not going to move until the space key is pressed. So I'm going to go back to our hen. We already have the basics of movement down, the basics of walking down. So I want you guys to keep that in mind as we tell our chick to move. So I'm basically just going to use the same code. Now you're still going to want that forever block, because remember that forever block means that this will run until you tell it to stop. And I'm wrong about that. I'm sorry, guys. We're going to go ahead and get rid of that. We don't need it here because we got the space key. So pretend like I never brought out the forever block, but we're going to have the when space key pressed. So let's go to our motion blocks, and we're just going to do the same thing we did before with looks. Chick B. Wait. Move. Switch. Back to A. Another wait. And let's see what happens. So remember, I'm not pressing the green flag this time. I'm pressing the space key. So I'm going to press the space key now. Uh-oh. So you guys may be noticing my chick is walking the wrong way. So before we get it to walk the right way, the way that we want it to walk, I'm going to go ahead and do what I did with the other one. So we're going to do that green flag and X and Y. So that is the position that I would like my chick to be when we start the code. So again, I'm going to press the space key, walking in the wrong direction. And I can just press the green flag when I'm ready for it to go back. So how are we going to make sure that our chick is walking in the right direction? So when we go to our move blocks, we are going to do -10. So -10 means that it'll walk to the left. Without the regular 10 means it'll walk to the right. So now move -10 steps. Let's go ahead and press the space key and see what happens. Now our hen is moving in the right direction when I press the space key. And you'll notice the movement that I did, it's just kind of chirping. They didn't have leg movements available with this one, but it's kind of chirping along as I move it. So that is another way that you can do movement with your chick. So let's say I wanted to run both of these at once. You can definitely do that. So let me reconnect my blocks here. Let me press the green flag. And I'm pressing the space key at the same time. And now both of my objects are moving. And when I stop it and press the green flag again, they'll go back to where they need to be. So those are some basics of animation. Those are some basics to how to move your objects. So as I mentioned before, there is a part 2 on Thursday, and Chris is going to drop the link in there, so you'll be sure to join us on Thursday, same time, to learn a little bit more, some more animation basics. And to give you guys a cliffhanger, I am going to add in a third sprite. So my hen and my chick might be getting a little hungry. So I am going to find them something to eat. So I'm going to select the muffin, and I'm just going to place it there. So as a little cliffhanger, if you'd like to see what happens with the hen, the chick, and the muffin, definitely join me for the next installment of Animation Basics Part 2. So there is going to be a Part 2. Definitely recommend you join me for that so that you can learn how the hen and the chick interact with the muffin. So with that, I am going to go ahead and see if anybody has any questions. Chris, you can jump on at any time. I'm going to go ahead and jump on here too. And thanks for dropping those links for me. It is much appreciated.
Sure thing. We don't have any questions at the moment, but if you do want to post a question, you can do it now.
All right. And Chris, while we're waiting for those questions to roll in, if there are any, I'll go ahead and cover some of our posting stuff with you. If you need to contact us, we got our contact link there. You can contact us by phone, email, text, chat, however you'd like. If you'd like to see any other programs and events we got going on with the library, we have our events link right there as well. Lots of fun stuff going on. January, our theme is New Year, New You. So if you want to learn some more tech stuff, we will definitely have that there, including if you want to convince your parents if Roblox is educational. You may want to hang on for that one. And of course, Scratch. So I got the link for Scratch there. It was also dropped in the chat, so definitely check that out. And of course, I want to see you guys. I would love to see you guys again for part 2. We're going to learn how the hen and the chick interact with the muffin. Cliffhanger.
The muffin. I can't wait. I'm so excited.
They might eat it. Yeah, they may eat it.
Oh. All right. Well, we don't have any questions, so I think that is it. Thank you for joining us. Thank you, Tanisha. That was fun. We look forward to Thursday for part 2. We'll see you all there. Have a great night.
All right. Bye everybody.